Okay, so as Pardo from Pardo FX, please subscribe if you find these market overviews useful. Basically, we're looking at each currency pair from a price action perspective, what's going to happen over the coming week in the forex markets, try and give us an insight into what we should be looking for. However, it's difficult to focus on just the price action and how price is moving when you have uh, what's going on in the background with the Trump administration and the tariffs and all that stuff, and whether the loonies priced in. Uh, anyway, we'll start off. We're doing the euros now, and we're looking at euro CAD. Generally, a nightmare pair to trade anyway, but moves very nicely. Even more of a nightmare at the moment, as you can see, all the spikes in this current area. But we're at 1.5. Okay, well, we've pushed above 1.5. We've pushed above this area of supply here. So I feel fairly confident that the CAD is going to get weaker based on the tariffs. The euro is probably going to get a bit stronger based on uh, US dollar tariffs being set against them. I'd expect this range to complete pretty soon in the week. Um, I'm not sure I'm going to look for an entry because I think it possibly will come down. It's got the strong uptrend broken and consolidation, and then now prices trying to decide what it's going to do. It's closed above the supply, so potentially you're going to see a wick fill at least. And it would be interesting to see whether it breaks above this area because it is extremely strong. So it's a bullish bias on EuroCAD for the week coming up. What are we looking at next? So Euro USD. So DXY or the American dollar, I think, is in a very bearish position. If you look at Euro USD, okay, over the last couple of years, it's been knocking out these really strong end of ranges or price reversal points, but now it's finally thrown up what is potentially an inverse head and shoulders. You can tell this is really good demand because of the wick here, the shoulder here potentially. Okay, the peak below and the shift in momentum above outside of the trend line provided us with a potential opportunity about markets open to long this. Difficult based on the price action of the candles on the dailies, but I think this is one of the strongest trade setups of the week because the EMA 17, okay, on the daily is very strong on most pairs. What this is a potential. If there's a white candle that closes above the EMA 70, it's a rejection of that on the daily, but you're not going to know that until it happens. So it's difficult from a dynamic support perspective to get into a trade down here at zero point 0.5 or Fibonacci on this move. You certainly can, but it's more risky. What I'd like to see is a push back above the EMA 17 and maybe a shorter time frame move, on top of sort of the EMA 17 on the 1 hour to then push long, something like that. But it is a strong trade setup as long as you're happy with how the price action looks from Friday, which isn't very good. But potentially it wasn't here either. Okay, so I'm long on Euro USD and actually long against the US dollar in general. Euro Swiss franc. So really interesting position this is in because we don't want to trade any more of this rubbish down here, this really consolidatory stuff. What we want is this move, this move, this move, this move. When it moves really nicely. But when's that going to start happening? Well, price has just, it's squeezed here, pushed above, tested. And now the EMA 70 is caught up. I think it's a bullish outlook on this strong demand point. Okay, but you're buying into the EMA 200, and you've got to be comfortable with that. The less risky solution is to then wait until it goes above 95 and then test 95, and then you're pretty much in clear water for an uptrend. But the more risky option is to get an EMA 70 rejection here, go long. There's a trend line up there probably as well, which you could use for some guidance potentially. Okay. So long outlook on Euro Swiss franc. We've talked about EuroCAD, Euro Ward, as I said on the Aussie video, really interesting position. Moves really sharply, but within quite good structure. Where it is now is the strongest shorting point, but it's also risky based on the fact that this is a consolidation and this is potentially a breakout of that consolidation and just an extended first retracement down to go up. Now, the bear bias is short here. because this looks like a reversal pattern. And if you're going to go short from 1.67, it's risky, but it's strong. Okay. And you've got to be wary of this peak symmetry here. Price could push back up to that point before reversing. The safest option to go short on this is to wait for the break of the current, of this top here. Okay, get a flag out, protect against the 61.8, down you go. That would be my way to trade this, or potentially a push above 1.67, a test, and go long from there. So it's to be decided. Risky trade where it is, safer trade below where this triangle is, a long above 1.67. Okay, EJ. So euro yen. Expecting the yen to be strong based on what's going on in the world. I don't like the price action on euro yen at the moment at all. It was great when we went into last week. This was one of the strongest setups going into that, a daily SH2. Had a limit order set to catch it on Sunday night. It didn't close the gap and dropped like a stone. So I was a bit gutted about that. It bounced off demand, okay, and then rejected off the EMA 17 for short. I don't think it's difficult to go long on this. The bias is probably short, to be honest. And unless something convinces me otherwise, I expect it to come through and down. But this, I can't trade it above this demand point short for obvious reasons. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at there. And with euro pound, okay, we sort of said last week, it looked great from 0.84 for a long, okay, but it was very difficult to trade it based on the price action. We were right not to. It pushed through, still hasn't thrown up a retracement to 0.84. Would expect it to. I think long term, this is long based on the demand. Okay, it's just throwing out one of these zigzags here. So I think long term it's long, but if it comes back up to 0.84, I will short it from that position because it's a decent range. It's a strong reversal point. Price looks like it wants to start pushing up there based on the wicks that are coming out. And you see something like, this short push up, a short spike to catch that retracement to go short. So it's something you'd have to really be careful of, or you might miss it. But also you've got to be careful because it would have to push above the daily and the 4-hour EMA 17 in order to do so. So that makes it more of a risky trade. But you want to look for something like that. And then when it comes back to a point of actual first retracement retest of this structure here, you probably look to go long from there. Okay. And that's it for the euro. So generally it looks very strong. But there's a couple of pairs that really need to decide on which route they're going. But generally, if the US dollar looks weak, the euro is going to look strong. And that's it for the euros. If you like the market overview, bear in mind, pinch of salt. Okay, none of this might actually play out. It just gives me an idea to go into the week knowing what I'm looking for in each of these pairs. And if you find it useful, please first subscribe, and I'll be putting more up each week. All right. Thanks very much.